This lecture is a part of your paper on Geography of Communication in a Globalizing World, a Gendered Perspective. This lecture will focus on the impact of globalizing processes on geographical space. We will also explore the processes entailing a spatial turn in communication studies and how gender is positioned in this entire scheme. Globalization, ICTs and space of flows. Space has been classically viewed as a physical entity with absolute and fixed geometries, acting as a passive container for social action and processes. However, later this definition was considered as static and space came to be viewed as both produced and modified by social processes and relations. In the wake of the globalizing processes which entail free movement of financial capital, information and culture across these spatial borders, powered by information and communication technologies (ICT), new social spatial forms and meanings are getting produced. One of the pioneering contributions that attempts to explain how ICTs interact and reconfigure urban spaces came from the sociologist Manuel Castells. According to Manuel Castells, spaces of flows represent purposeful, repetitive, programmable sequence of exchange and interaction between physically disjointed positions held by social actors in the economic, political and symbolic structures of society. A major impact of globalizing processes is the production of new spaces and time spaces, both of which belong to global as well as national scales, albeit partially. According to Sasson, this partial nature is an intrinsic aspect of the global because the latter has not been able to encompass the lived experiences of actors or the domain of institutional orders and cultural formations. The global economy is not an abstract given phenomena but is consciously produced, implemented and sustained through performance of highly specialized functions, appropriate infrastructure and legislative regulations. These preconditions needs to be provided or secured by each and every participating nation state to facilitate cross-border flow of economic, cultural and informational flows. These arguing against the social thickness of global processes view the latter essentially in terms of economic aspects such as trade, capital flows, hypermobility of technology, etc. Globalization has ushered in contentious debates around the global and the local. Emergence of non-places, placelessness, time-space compression, etc., all of which basically signify homogenization of social, economic and cultural aspects across the places. The need of capitalism to constantly reduce the average turnover time between investment and profits can only be ensured through eradication of barriers to production, marketing and profit making. This results in a shrinking of the world powered by time-space compression with a subsequent homogenization of social, economic and cultural aspects across the place. However, this view of erasure of place has been critiqued. As observed by Sesson in year 2000, the global and the local are not mutually exclusive categories. Rather, they significantly overlap with each other. This interaction between the global and the local is a distinguishing attribute of this present day. It is transforming the way space and time has been typically perceived by theoreticians and researchers. However, the spatio-temporal homogeneity of the nation states have been critiqued, and it has been argued that even these nation states were composed of multiple space and time spaces which could be organized into something that approximated to a sort of unified spatio-temporal order. Neither hypermobility nor time-space compression are automatically generated. Rather, these are produced through fixed capital, infrastructure and facilities in specified locations. That is, the hypermobility of flows are made possible through fixity of capital. The spatial turn in communication. All forms of representation takes place in space. On the other hand, spaces are produced through representations. Thus, the theories of spatial can also be understood as theories of mediation communication. Based on an analysis of the earliest civilizations of Egypt, Greece and Rome as well as the industrial societies of the 20th century, Ennis observed that the two predominant methods of communication were time-biased media and space-biased media. He further observed that these different means of communication were associated with different levels of socio-political power. While the durability of time-biased media has served the ambitions of religious empires in their quest for eternal monopolies of knowledge, space-biased media have typically served the interest of expansionist military empires. In the contemporary post-industrial societies, mobility and connectedness pervade all aspects of life, be it work or leisure, production or consumption. Such relentless thrust on mobility, connectedness, instantaneity, etc. signify a transcendence of spatial boundaries by means of communication. The earlier theories of communication of the industrial societies were products of mass societies and were premised on clear distinctions between media producers, audiences, text, context, etc. However, hyperspace-biased communication of the informational societies underscore spatial ambiguities reflected in the context of three categories: mobility, convergence and interactivity. According to Jensen, in the contemporary hyperspace-biased communication, societies' media are suffering from ephemerality of text and context due to mobility, convergence and interactivity. That said, he probed deeper into the importance of text and context. Mass media research has classically followed the transmission view approach. This view was mainly concerned with the extension of messages in space and relied on a clear separation of text from the symbolic, social and material context. James W. Carey emphasized the need to focus on communication in time rather than space and on the representation of shared beliefs rather than unidirectional transmission of messages. It signified a turn from meanings of text to reproduction of cultural patterns in context. Theories of Goffman 1959, Giddens and Lefebvre in 1991, Jensens in 2005 puts forth the concept of texture which views communication as spatial production. Space is both produced and understood through texture, that is, through a spatial materialization of culture. Morley and Robbins observe that new ICTs have rendered political, economic, social and cultural processes of deterritorialization, reterritorialization, delocalization and relocalization possible and of a magnitude that at least seems to be unsurpassable. The structuring of spaces through communication apparatuses influences how things move through it. Thus, there can be no geography without communication. This linkage is conceptualized as media space. Gendered space and communication, new horizon of possibilities. On one hand, there is the automatic process of biological evolution, and on the other is the process of mediated social evolution. Every human being has to pass through both the channels and live a life that is molded by both of them. It is this space that defines how a male perspective and how a female perspective will be distinct. Man and women experience space differently. This gender differentiated experience is a manifestation of the patriarchal cultural norms brewed into their identities through the socialization process. Gendered meanings are invested in specific locations, places and sites, thus causing men and women to engage with space differently and also reproducing a symmetrical gender relation. So such settings are termed as gendered spaces which are not bounded by physical boundaries, rather by the perceptions of men and women. It cannot be mechanically measured and mapped. Several scholars have attempted to theorize the relationship between space and gender. According to Ardner, societies generate their own culturally determined rules which in turn shape the gender differentiated perception and social interaction. Thus, public sphere of work, leisure and politics become the men's territory, while the private sphere of the home and the family become associated with the women. Massey observes that the segregation of space into inside and outside and women's confinement within the former space is a means whereby joint control on their spatiality as well as their identity is being exercised by the society. It is the idiom through which conventional subordination of women is being operationalized in the society. The personal lives of the women remained outside the realm of political representation as well as intervention. However, given that there has been an increased rigor in reconceptualizing how space and communication produce and reproduce each other, the question of gender must also be looked into. It has been argued that information and communication driven media technologies are playing a crucial role in reducing the need for face-to-face interactions as well as releasing the communities from geographical constraints. New media have given them greater space for participation and mobilization, enabled them to communicate their views, share their problems and experiences, access information about matters of critical importance such as reproductive health, legal redressals, and so on and so forth. In other words, the new media has provided women with spaces for politicizing their personal lives, rendering themselves visible in the eyes of the patriarchal society. It is thus obvious that such increased access to informational spaces would contribute significantly to restructuring of gender relations. Conclusion. Summing up this lecture, we see that the free play of globalizing processes powered by information and communication technologies have provided fertile grounds for exploring how space and communication co-constitute and reproduce each other. We learned that the question of gender deserves special mention. Considerable evidence exists in favor of the argument that gender intersect both space and communication, especially in the post-industrial global societies. On the one hand, space is experienced differently by men and women, and on the other hand, channels of communication have distinctly gendered access and consumption patterns. The ICTs have played considerably crucial role in reconstituting the interfacing of space, gender and communication. Hope you have enjoyed this lecture. For more details, please read the e-text of this lecture properly and attempt the questions in the end. Thank you.